Monday NBA playoffs. We head into game two in a couple series, two games on our NBA playoff slate today. Gino Bacola alongside Erik from ETOF 21 Sports, and we will get you all set up for the Monday night basketball games. But we want to hear from you when we have live shows, which are usually going to be maybe Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Friday. We're going to try to get live as often as possible because we love interacting with all of you out there. Your comments, your questions. We love hearing some of your best bets. If you have any cool statistics you want to share with us and the viewers and the listeners, please do so. Erik, the best way to do that is on YouTube, right? If they're on either your or my YouTube channels watching the videos. So if you're watching these on like Twitter or any of our other social media, if you want to comment, you can comment. I think from Twitch, it comes directly to us. And from YouTube, they come directly to us. That's probably the easiest way to stay in touch with us, right?
That's the best way. So we do it on Twitter. We do not see it.
Yep. So it won't come directly to us. We'll still see those comments later. But for now, we want you to be a part of the show. And remember, today you can play in that Thrive Fantasy contest. What I've been really liking about Thrive Fantasy, they're DFS style contest. But Erik, for someone like me, I'm living in California, so I can't bet legally right now. There is not legal sports wagering, but I can play Thrive Fantasy and I can play parlays based around props. I can play a two-team parlay based around props, a three-team, a four-team, or a five-team. And what's really cool is you and I wouldn't recommend telling gamblers to go bet a bunch of parlays, right? I would never say, go play a bunch of parlays. That's the best way to make your money. But when you're in a situation where you can't play quite as much, and if those parlays are giving you better value than a traditional parlay, well, that's an advantage. That's what happens at Thrive Fantasy. And in addition to that, you can play, like, let's say you deposit, you only have a few bucks left on your account. You have $1 or two. You can play $1 or two three-team parlay and quickly build your bankroll back up. I wouldn't say bet all of your bankroll, right? Or big percentage of your units. But if you want to have a little bit of action and play a few of these to try to build your bankroll up, no problem with 2 and 3 and little $5 parlays here and there.
Not at all. That's a great way to build it up. If you're in a state where that betting is not legal yet, that's a great way because a lot of those props there are pretty juicy, and you can use it to build it that way.
Okay, so Erik and I will be looking at the betting lines over at DRF Sportsbook. DRF Sports, all you need when you're handicapping these games, when you want a little help, you want some analysis. And if you're in Iowa, head on over right now and sign up, and we will have direct links coming soon, so that way you can go right from our link to sign up for DRF Sportsbook. Let's talk about game one today, Erik. We saw Philadelphia 76ers win their first game in the series against Brooklyn, and Philly is now in the 10-ish or so. It's floated back to like 10 and a half or so favored in here. So Philly with the size, but the Nets almost a double-digit underdog, now into a double-digit underdog. That number to me is just a little bit too high. I didn't have them as one of my plays today, but you did. Talk to us about why you like the Nets today.
I mean, you kind of look at it, 76ers shot 43% from three-pointers, and the Nets had 19 turnovers. That's the game. This game was close at the half. Second half, they got a little sloppy with the ball. I expect the shooting regression to come back a little bit for the 76ers. And it's just really hard to trust a team like the 76ers or the Nets laying this big of a number. I believe this opened up about 7 or 8 again. Now it's ballooned all the way up to over double digits. I think this is just a buy low spot on the Nets. Bridges was able to get what he wanted at ease. I expect Dinwiddie to have a better game. And it's going to be interesting to see what Jacques Vaughn elects to do. He made we've seen this before. People in the media coaches in the media go, I'd like it if 3 seconds was called. I like it if they would call traveling. They do this to kind of plant that seed. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of calls are Embiid. And then with how good the 76ers shot, what's the Nets chess piece move? Are they just going to let Embiid get his? You know what I mean? Are they just going to say, okay, we're fine with Embiid getting 2s, let him get his 45. We're going to not let the other guys get open looks. Tucker made open shots. Melton played great. Maxey played great. Harden played unbelievable from 3, but really struggled finishing at the rack. So I I expect the Nets to make an adjustment. I expect the 76ers shooting progression to hit, and I expect the Nets not to turn the ball over.
One guy who I'm going to have in a couple plays today, one here and then one for Thrive, is Cam Johnson. I would just love to see him get a little bit more involved here. I think he's sort of a good matchup. He was able to get a lot of what he wanted. He shot really well from three also in his 15 games, his last 15 games of the year. He's been averaging over 16 points a game. He's been shooting over 40% from three on 5 attempts per game. Let's get him a couple more looks. Right? He's shooting 40% from three. Let's get him 2 or 3 more looks. Let's get him 7 or 8 3-point attempts in this game. Let's get him a couple more shots. Cam Johnson over the 15.5 points in this game. I think he's going to have a big one. And then you and I, we're both on the same play here, Erik. I played it last time, and Harden scored 23 points in a game where he was 7 of 13 from three. He was bad from the rest of the field. He was only 8 of 21 overall from the field. That was the only time this year he's made 7 threes. So the most he's made in any game this year, his last 12 games, he only would have gone over this 3 times in the last 12 games. I think this number got bumped up. It was 19.5. And then because he scored 23 the other day, they bumped it up an extra point. And if he wouldn't have hit a 7-3, he wouldn't have gone over this number right here.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the key thing you mentioned is how he's 8 for 21 from the floor, 7 of 13 from the three. What does that mean? He was 1 of 8 finishing at the rim. He really didn't play that efficient of a game. I expect, like I said, I think they're going to take away the threes. I absolutely love this. I played the under 20 and a half too. Maybe if you get a little creative and look to play like an alternative, like under 12 points, kind of, because Harden's not. This isn't Houston James Harden.
No.
Harden, and he's coming back from an injury. He's not anywhere near 100%. So yeah, I love the under. I bet the under 20 and a half here.
Yep. Erik and I both on the same side here with Harden under 20 and a half. But in the next game, we will go our separate ways because Erik is on the Warriors money line. But I'm going to come back one more time again with the Kings on the money line as well. And this game is basically just like a 1.5 point spread. A lot of money, though, on the Warriors. Erik, we sort of felt like all of that 16 years, 17 years of no playoffs, the fans, all that pent-up energy for game one, and they were there. And you also need big game from Fox, big game from Monk, big game from Lyles. Is it likely that Monk is going to go 14 of 14 from three? You're probably not going to get 70 points between Fox and Monk again. You probably won't have Trey Lyles shooting 4 of 6 from three. So I could absolutely see why anyone would go the other way. My only kind of counter to that, and then you can sort of sell us on Golden State here, is that Sabonis did not play well at all. He's one of my plays. Over 32.5 points and rebounds. I just feel like a really big bounce back because he missed a lot of layups, like bunnies, like easy shots that he normally would make. So between Sabonis, Herter, who normally averages 15 points a game, Herter and Murray made 200 threes each. Both of them shot poorly. They shot over 40% from three throughout the year, and Barnes averages 15 points per game. So maybe this isn't a Fox and Monk game as much. Maybe this is more of a Sabonis, Herter, Murray, Barnes game. So I'm going to roll back with the Kings on the money line. And Erik, talk to us. What are some of the real reasons why you go to the Warriors here?
First of all, Warriors have won 9 straight games after a loss in the first round. Kings have failed to cover the spread in 10 of their last 11 home games after a win. Wiggins, I think he's going to be more adjusted. I think they're going to work him in. I think he's going to play more minutes. Poole is hurt, and I think the Warriors are better without Poole.
Yeah,
and it's kind of funny. A certain media person who has me blocked, who last year said that the Warriors should trade Klay Thompson and start Poole full time. Well, he tweeted out today that if you think Poole's an NBA starter, you don't watch basketball. So it's kind of funny how
full circle
stuff. Yeah, it's kind of funny. And then if we just kind of look at it, you kind of mentioned it. Monk and Fox scored 70 points. Lyles played an outstanding game, hitting threes. Lynn came in, played over his head, looked great out there. He
Yeah,
looked
Lynn
better
played great.
defensively. He looked better defensively in my eyes than Sabonis did.
Completely agree.
And Sabonis was -11.
He
And
was
Curry
bad.
was +9, and they still lost the game. He really struggled with Looney on there. I think we're going to see more Wiggins minutes. I think Wiggins is going to just shadow Fox. I think they're going to blitz Fox, force
Can
the
we
ball to get
say
out of
how
hand.
impressive that was, that game? Because we got to remember Wiggins, he missed a couple shots late, and that's what people will think about. But the guy's been out of rhythm. I know he wasn't hurt, but he hasn't played in a basketball game since February. He's got to come right in and play at that level and that tempo. Like, he didn't seem out of shape. He just seemed like a guy that hasn't been shooting in an NBA game for a while. And it makes sense. I could see him. I could see basically everything that he did in that game on Saturday again for about a week or two. It'll probably take a little while for him to get the shot back, get it back in the rhythm. But as far as hustle and playing defense, remember, he didn't have an injury. So even when he was away from the team, he could still train. He could still remain in shape. It wasn't like someone who's got a bad ankle and they can't stand up and they're on crutches.
Yeah, I mean, he just has to get back in rhythm. They did have a chance. I mean, Curry had an open look. Wiggins had an open look.
Yep.
I just felt they did have a double-digit lead at one point. I just felt there was just so much stuff that went the Kings' way. I think it's going to go back the Warriors' way in that second half. And I really think without having Poole on there, the Warriors are just a better team. As crazy as it sounds. So I'll take the Warriors here. Maybe I'm swimming with the public. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll roll with it.
Okay, so we me and Erik don't disagree too often, but we'll have to have a beer bet on this one. Erik will roll with the Warriors. I'll roll with the Kings here. Oh, look at Chad Koopaloop joining today. He says Draymond assist line 7.5 tonight, had 11 in game one. Thoughts? Looney line is 2.5 assists, had only 2 in game one. Enjoying the show. Erik, what would you think about either of those assist numbers tonight?
I would take the Draymond over.
Yeah.
I would lean the under with
on the Looney,
even though it's such a low price.
Coop, we're on the same page with you there. A Draymond assist line, I would go over there. You just watch the way they run their offense, and Draymond is one of those guys that, for as limited as he is as a scorer now, he's still a fantastic offensive player. You just watch him pass and his reads and how he reads the defense. He knows where to get the ball to Steph. He knows where to get the ball to Clay. He knows where Poole likes it. He knows what Wiggins does well when he cuts. So I like that one. Koopaloop, Chad Cooper playing Draymond assist line over tonight and possibly under in that Looney assist line. Erik, another tight game. This game one, was probably my favorite of round one. I mean, my favorite was the Lakers winning, obviously, but of the games, as far as this was a good game, that crowd was roaring. And I feel like this could be a really fun series. I mean, especially if Sacramento wins today, then that pressure all flips back to Golden State. But I really feel like Sacramento can even go and win one game at Golden State, and we can have at least a 6 or 7 game series here.
Sacramento's defensive splits are actually better on the road than they are at home, which is absolutely crazy.
Wow. Anything else you want to mention before we talk a few Thrive fantasy plays?
No.
That does it for today. 2 games on Monday. I believe we have 3 more tomorrow, and then we'll bounce back and forth. Now we'll have a couple games, at least 2 every day. And if we, and as we get to Saturday and Sunday, we'll have all 4 series again on Saturday and Sundays if those series continue on. So we will now talk a little Thrive Fantasy. The website is thrivefantasy.com, or you can download the app. It is a daily fantasy site and a daily fantasy app. So if you're someone who's played in big fantasy contests, probably most of you guys will play them, guys and gals playing them around football time. But the style of these contests are very similar format, Erik. You can play in a contest like the one I'm about to pull up on Thrive Fantasy, or you can play, as I mentioned, individual props, and you can actually just play like parlays based around those props. Here's today's featured Thrive Fantasy game for the NBA. It's a $20 entry fee, and it's a $2,000 prize pool. They also have baseball games today, hockey games today that you can get involved in. You can play in like a heads up game where you just play against one other, or you can play in the full contest format where you're playing against 115 other entries. So let's dive on in, Erik. 2 hours to get your entries in for this game. It tips off at first tip for tonight for their NBA game. You have to select 10 of the 20 props that are available for you, and it pays out $400 to the winner, $250 to second, $150 to third, $100 all the way down to seventh place, and then you get $25 all the way down to 26th place. So if you're just in that like top 20-ish percent, you're going to get paid. So Erik, where are you heading for some of your plays today in Thrive Fantasy?
My first play, I am going with, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm going with Andrew Wiggins over 14.5 points and rebounds. I think we're going to see him more and more.
Yep.
Just get used to playing and everything. I think this is way too low of a line. So Wiggins over 14.5.
That's exactly one that I went to as well. Wiggins over 14.5 points and rebounds, because just like we're saying, he's in shape physically. He's just not quite, the rhythm shooting is what's going to hurt him. So his rebounds numbers will be fine. He's still going to be able to have a few cuts and put a few buckets in as well. So 14.5, this is a guy who can get you 15 rebounds in a game himself, like alone, and he looked like
a rebounder.
Yeah.
In the finals
last year. So both of us attack Andrew Wiggins as one of our plays. Erik, anything else that you're looking at for Thrive today?
Yeah, I got two more. I did some bonus under 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think this is just way too big of a number. And like hypothetically, like what happens if he can't defend the pick and roll?
And you need more Len, right?
That's going to put Brown in a little bit of a position. Do they cycle him out? I think that's just way too big of a number. And then my other one, I'm gonna play Poole under 4.5 assists. I mean, I don't think if he plays, I don't think he's gonna play that much. Obviously, if he doesn't play, it's gonna be Nolan Boyd, and you have to put someone else in there. But I would go Poole under 4.5 assists.
Yeah, like think about the Sabonis one that you mentioned. I played over Sabonis for just a regular prop over 32.5 points and rebounds. But look at this number. So 32.5 points and rebounds is his over under. This adds for assists. You would need 9 more assists to get to this number. That seems just huge to me. I agree with you. I would roll under there as well. And my final play, Erik, I talked about him from a point standpoint, but I also think he can very easily hit this rebounds and assists for Cam Johnson. The number's only 4.5. Cam Johnson in the last 15 games has been averaging 5.2 rebounds and just about 2.5 assists a game. And in game 1, he had 4 rebounds and 2 assists. And I'm hoping he gets a little bit more involved. So over 4.5 rebounds and assists for Cam Johnson. Remember, when you head to Thrive Fantasy, use that promo code GINO if you're interested in perhaps just playing a parlay tonight. You can pick any of the props that are up and available, and you can pick props from baseball, from hockey, from NBA, all different options. And they even give you more options than the ones that you just have in the contest. For a lot of these, you'll have like a bunch of different possibilities for each player. You can see they'll have sometimes 3, 4, 5 props for individual players like Harden, like Embiid. So Erik, buddy, great stuff again today. Good luck to you in your plays. We will be back tomorrow to talk about the NBA games on your Tuesday night schedule, on the Tuesday night slate. Looking forward to that. And remember, give Erik a follow on social media. Give me a follow. It's me, Gino B. Check out DRF Sportsbook for all of your wagers. And if you're someone who likes to play fantasy sports, or if you're just looking for a little action, maybe in a state like California, a state like Texas, where you can't yet wager, you can wager and play props at Thrive Fantasy. ThriveFantasy.com, promo code GINO. Anything else you want to mention, buddy?
No, hopefully get some good games. Hopefully the Nets can compete a little bit.
Yeah, we didn't really talk a whole lot about what happened yesterday, but we'll be able to reflect a lot on that. The one thing coming out of yesterday, Erik, is just a lot of big key injuries, right? Giannis, how healthy will he be? Tyler Hero, how healthy will he be? We saw
Hero's
AD.
out.
Yeah, we saw
He's
AD
out.
go down early, but then come back, and then Ja, at the end of that game, the way Ja fell, that didn't look great. So some really big injuries, and it shows you how quickly things can flip for teams who feel like they're in a really great spot, and then one or two guys get hurt and everything changes.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously no job. I mean, Memphis really doesn't have any chance against the Lakers in a full blown series. I'm just not a believer in the Heat team. I think the Bucks
Me
can
too.
beat the Heat, but
Me too.
getting past like a Knicks or a Cavs without having Giannis, that's just going to be too much for them.
Yeah, if Giannis is not healthy, and he was noticeably injured and noticeably hurting yesterday. He is as tough as they come, though. So I'd imagine, sounds like we're positive stuff for him in game 2, and we'll continue to pass along all that information. Chad Cooper, thanks so much for hanging out with us, buddy. Good luck to you in your play tonight. Erik, good luck to you. Good luck to everyone out there, and we'll see you again tomorrow, 5:00 p.m. Eastern time for Fast Break Bets for Tuesday.